Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kris Kloss, and this is Xtreme Memories, exclusively on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. Nearly 2 years, fans. Thank you very much, consecutively on the 15th and the 30th of every single month. Quite the milestone here at the Wrestling Chatter. And guys, please, it'll help us out a lot. Subscribe to the Wrestling Chatter. Hit the bell notification. Share these videos and throw a comment down below. I got a comment for you. Well, I got a name. Willie Mack. We have been interviewing basically everybody from all the way to the top, to all the wrestlers, to guys that were in the asylum, guys that were behind the scenes, and we're going to go all the way back to when, you remember when we were fans? That's right, Willie Mack, the little guy at the time, he was a big fan of XPW. He used to scrounge up the change that he could find, not only to buy tickets, but to get bus fare, to take it into downtown, to the LA Sports Arena, to the Grand Olympic Auditorium. He had the heart, he had the will, he had the drive, and he was always the last kid to leave that arena when all the fans went home. You gotta admire that. We admire this guy. His name is Willie Mack, and he's going to talk about when he started as a fan and all the things he's done since then, the career, and specifically the involvement of Willie Mack in XPW. Welcome to Xtreme Memories once again, and welcome Willie Mack. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, just chilling out here, relaxing.
Oh, in good old Sin City. Oh, yeah. Well, Willie Mack, man, synonymous. You've been you've made quite the name for yourself over the years in professional wrestling, especially out this side of the country, this side of the world. But you have traveled all over, and you've been on national television, a few different projects. You had a lot of interest at one point with, and probably still do, with WWE. Talk a little bit about that, because I was actually, lo and behold, I was your last interview. I got an interview from you because I'm like, let's get it now because we won't get it once he gets signed, and we did it in your neighborhood in a car in LA with my producer George here for our old show, the Kris Kloss show from years ago. But now this is Xtreme Memories, and I want to talk a little bit about your involvement, Willie, with XPW specifically. Because you're a guest I can also have on Cali's Finest very easily, just talking across the board, California wrestling. But we're going to be doing everything XPW. This is Xtreme Memories. I am your host, Kris Kloss. And our guest today is Willie Mack. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button down below. Turn that bell notification on and throw some comments down below. How did you first hear, Willie, about XPW?
Well, I was a kid watching on, was it KDOC at the time?
At first it was KJLA, then we moved to KDOC. Yeah.
Yeah, it was KJLA because I was watching Saturday night. They had like a Saturday night wrestling block. Yeah. And they would show like XPW, NWA, and like some other old stuff. And I was happy because I was like, oh, this is in LA, because I saw they was at the LA Sports Arena, and I gathered up my little money and figured out when the next show was going to be. And my first show was Vengeance. No, D-Day. Wow. D-Day.
D-Day. Okay, yeah, D-Day.
Yeah, I came out there and was like, hell yeah, this is something I could get used to, and hopefully they stick around the LA area. And I found out they was local, so I kept coming every time they had an event.
Very good. I mean, look, dude, I remember, and that was part of your story, man. You would, like you said, man, it wasn't easy growing up. You didn't have a lot of money, and you would scrounge up money and kind of follow that dream that we all were lucky enough to, those of us that got into the business, lucky enough to do this stuff that we obviously love so much, and you would scrounge up money, not just for the show tickets, but for the bus fare, right?
Yeah.
And you were living in South Central at the time, South Central, South LA.
Yeah.
Not too far from the sports arena.
No.
No, and Exposition Park area, USC, and you just take the bus right there. And man, how was it going to shows? Was growing up in LA? I'm a little older than you, but growing up in LA, were XPW the first shows of wrestling you ever went to at the LA Sports Arena, or did you go to WWF back in the day at the LA Sports Arena?
Well, I guess I went to whatever WrestleMania they had back then,
Okay,
like when they had the
WrestleMania,
bomb threat.
yeah, WrestleMania 7, 91, 1991.
Yeah, I remember my parents taking me to that, and then I ended up going back for XPW.
Not even 10 years later.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was 1991 was WrestleMania 7, and yeah, not even 10 years later was XPW at the LA Sports Arena in the year 2000.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that was that pretty when you went to XPW, can you tell us memories about going to those shows at the sports arena? What those felt like?
Well, it's different because I didn't know nobody on the card except for Sabu at the time, and then I saw the homegrown talent they had, or Southern California wrestlers, and it was cool because I would save up money. I knew the little burrito stand was there. They had like $10 burritos, so I saved up for that, and I figured out that the 8x10s was either $5 or $10, and I knew the t-shirts was 20, so I made sure I had enough to get everything I wanted. And it was a good environment. That was the first time I got to see deathmatch wrestling live, and I fell in love with that. Most people think it's garbage wrestling, but I like all kind of wrestling. You got to open your mind to certain things. But yeah, XPW was a fit for me.
Wow, interesting. I like. I mean, I appreciate that. Um, I appreciate that concept that you just expressed about um, appreciating all different aspects of professional wrestling, all different styles, because you can look at a death match, let's say, and say, okay, because that's violent, I don't like it. Now you just closed all your perceptions down to this one little belief system. This is violent. That's it. Okay, now you're not going to be open to pick apart. Wow, look how they use psychology. Look how they do this, that, and the other thing within a death match, or like a different style like lucha libre, Japanese, American traditional.
Mhm.
When you understand that all of those styles fall under the pro wrestling umbrella, you should be open to all of them.
Yep. Most
Yeah,
people is afraid to like something different, and that's why they be stuck in a bubble of sports entertainment, what they call it now.
right. Yeah, or I mean, I have family that has been, oh my gosh, I can't believe this hardcore stuff. All right, get past that shock, and then look at what we're really doing here. Then it can become interesting if you don't shut yourself off by reflex action before you're even have the opportunity to first open your mind to certain things. But
Hmm.
very interesting. So yeah, man, I remember Willie, dude. I remember you back in the day. Um, you were pretty young when you were going to the XPW shows. You must have been a baby when your parents took you to WrestleMania 7.
Yeah, about like 4 or 5 years
Oh
old. But
my
when I went
gosh.
to
Okay.
XPW, I was 11 turning 12.
Okay, so you were 11 or 12 at XPW.
11 turning 12 because I remember I think it was like the end of 99 or something like that when I found
Yeah,
out about
2000,
XPW.
2000 at the sports arena, late, like early 2000.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, but no, I remember you, dude. And I forget how young you were because when we even did Wrestling Society X in Hollywood, you were still a pretty young kid hanging out then too, just trying to schmooze, trying to get to know some people. And I got to say, dude, Willie, you were hustling at a young age if you really think about it.
Well, yeah, I knew I wanted to get into pro wrestling, so I
Right.
found out the people to talk to and let them see my face, and hopefully I made an impression where they remember me. And years later, here I am.
Yeah, and I remember you having just seeing you out there. I didn't really know you yet, but I knew we knew each other. Oh, hey, what's up, man? What's up, man? How you doing? See each other at shows, and And I remember even before really getting to know you, it was obvious to me and everybody else, like, okay, this kid's got some drive. This kid is not going anywhere until he gets into this ring, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the vibe that we got from you way back in the day. As one of the fans that was, you were, unfortunately, you were too young to go to the Asylum, the pro wrestling
Mm-hmm.
training school, which you obviously would have done uh, had you been old enough yet. But again, you were only like what, 11, 12 years old at those XPW shows at the sports arena.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable, man. What venue growing up in LA and then going to these shows? Did you have a favorite venue? Like there was the Reseda Country Club, the Palace in Hollywood, the LA Sports Arena, the Grand Olympic, the Pico Rivera. Did you have a favorite venue for XPW when you go?
It would have to be either the Grand Olympic or the Sports Arena because they was right in the same area, like right down around my area. Pico Rivera was kind of far. I knew I had to take like two buses. One was like a normal LA bus, and then you had to switch over to like the Pico Rivera metro system.
Okay,
And
yeah.
after the shows, I would end up having to walk to the bus stop and wait
Oh,
until like 6, 7 in the morning for them to start
oh
running again because they'll
man.
stop at a certain time. And nobody really lived in my area, so I'll just chill
Oh man.
after the shows was over and yeah, just wait.
You should have told me, dude.
You didn't know me.
I swear to God, I would have given you a ride, dude. Because I was going to the valley. You were on the way, man. I would, oh my gosh, dude. Had I known. But
Hmm.
you're right. We were, none of us knew each other yet. And look, maybe it wasn't normal for you being a little kid to just go off with all these strangers. Like, who knows? Maybe I'm thinking outside the box because I know you now.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, obviously I have to agree with you, man. It was so legendary being in the sports arena, being in the Grand Olympic. Did that make you as I mean, now you're an Angelino, or you are an Angelino. Now you understand that this league is in Los Angeles. It's an opportunity, right? It doesn't feel like uh, it feels penetrable, unlike the WWE. It feels like you got to go through a lot of hoops, like maybe going through Hollywood and becoming an actor and all that.
Hmm.
Whereas XPW is big time, but it feels like there's a little bit more of a reality of getting involved in this league. Yeah.
Yeah, because they
And
had the school right there out in was it North Hollywood?
first Van Nuys, then North Hollywood.
There we go. Because I
Yeah.
remember I went down there on one of my days. I wasn't in school, and I actually went to what was it, 1133 Van Horn Street or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. 11331 or yeah. Ooh, yeah. That was the second one, North Hollywood, right?
Yeah, I went down there and I saw them there. They was doing their training and stuff, but I couldn't get in because I was too young, and so I ended up chilling at the Asian food spot, Bong
Yes,
Chows
I
or what
know
was it?
exactly.
And I got some bomb ass Chinese food, and then I
That
waited
place
for the
was
bus to go back.
that place was good, right?
Yeah, ain't that the place that Johnny Webb supposedly got his karate training from or martial
Yeah,
arts
yeah,
training?
exactly.
Yeah, I put two and two together. I'm like, wait, this that same place?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it, man. I mean, dude, I will have to say, I mean, that story alone is I always appreciated your dedication. I appreciated your will, and you just had a, like you do right now. You have a you just have a very, you were obviously raised very well, and you have a respect about you that is an awesome thing in my book. Good tributes to you, and it also comes in when I first knew you, and then you started getting involved, and then you got these opportunities. A lot of people, and I will say it, not everybody, but a lot of people start to get a big head, even if it's not completely noticeable. There's always a little smidge of getting a little bit of a big head. I see it in most, not all, but most do this. And the most that I'm talking about, some have a small degree of it, some have a big degree of it. But I have to say, I just noticed this, right? And I always prided myself, and Dynamite D was one of the people too. Just his philosophy, and also the way I was raised. I always like held it together, like tried to. I'm not going to change no matter what I do on TV, whatever, you know. But I always saw that in you, that no matter what happened to you, no matter what ups and downs, highs and lows, and if you were on the mountaintop, you were the same dude,
Well,
the same guy, dude. And I want to just put that out there right now for those of you that, for the fans that know you from TV, know you from doing shows like this, that don't know you personally. I just want to just say that, man, because it's the truth, dude. Um,
well, yeah, that's what happened. Because you come into this world, my mama taught me that the same way you got it, the same way it can be taken away. So don't hold on to nothing too long. So that's how I walk about everyday life. It's like, oh,
yeah,
I'm popular now, but I could fall off and be Joe Nobody tomorrow, but I'll still be the same dude.
boy, man, it's crazy how people lose sight of themselves because they get so caught up in their persona self, from being famous or being whatever. They latch onto that once that's gone, they think that now everything is over because they don't know their true self that's
Mm-hmm.
always there, who you are always exemplifying and connecting to. And I've always just noticed that about you, because when we got to know each other when you were a young kid, I that personality has never gone away. And you've always, I feel like you always never forgot where you came from, in my book.
Nah, yeah,
Yeah.
because my pops told me it's like you ain't got no reason to be scared, man. He go to the restroom the same as you, right? If you cut him, he'll bleed, right? If he gets sick, he'll get bad and ill, right? I'm like, yeah, what make you different to him? I was like, oh,
Yeah. And what am I here? How can I judge anybody when, not to get biblical, but he who without sin cast the first stone? And it's like, yeah, how can I think I'm better than anybody when I'm myself am flawed,
mm-hmm,
and make mistakes,
mm-hmm,
so. Um, I mean, okay, we touched on it, Willie, on your age during the time of you going to the XPW shows,
mm-hmm.
but were you getting, before XPW shut its doors? Were you planning on, okay, when I get to the age, I'm gonna join the asylum?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course. That was the first thing in my mind. I was ready, and then they went to the East Coast. Whatever happened, happened. They got shut down, and I was like, what am I gonna do now?
okay. I wanna. I know we're talking XPW, but I was there, and I wanna, because it ties into what you're saying now. When we taped Wrestling Society X, XPW shut its doors in 2003, and we taped Wrestling Society X, a big project on MTV, short lived, but it was a big project, and we taped it in Hollywood. It aired in 2007, but we filmed it in late, the pilot in February of '06, the rest of the episode 9 through 2 through 9 in November of '06, and you were there. You were camping out, and were you kind of the same mindset? Hey, a lot of the XPW guys are here now. This is also even a bigger deal technically than XPW because it had MTV. Was that your mindset? Were you going there to be like, hey, I want to be a part of this, and seeing who you can talk to, or did you have a game plan? Because I remember seeing you there in Hollywood, outside the gate when we were taping, and then you came in later because we knew you at that point. But what was your game plan at that time with that W?
Then I was just trying to go see what it was about because I love
Mm-hmm.
supporting no matter what it is. And I was about like 2 years in because I started May 14th, 2006 or something like that.
Oh, okay. So were you 18 at that time in '06?
Yeah,
Okay, that's the year you turned 18, or you turned in '05 18?
2005.
Okay, so you were, yeah, that's right. You had just started. You had just started, and you were like, man, dude, I forget how young you were, dude. Like you were making waves um pretty early on.
Yeah, because like some of the homies was booked on it, like Human Tornado and Lil
Yeah.
Cholo, because I was training with them too. And
Right.
they said, come out and help out or whatever, because I just had surgery. My appendix exploded on me. That's why they said I was supposed to be doing something on Wrestling Society X, but I got hurt and I still was recovering.
See, now I will say you just turned 18, and Kevin and on all them share the sentiments I'm sure about you as I do, and good tributes and to yourself once again. Because look, man, Kevin was ready to put you on that show, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that speaks volumes of um, how polished you were for being such a young athlete, a young professional wrestler. And again, like you're starting out so young. When did you know, just not to back up a little bit, but when did you know in your life, Willie, and this is a question I ask most of the guests, when did you know, how old were you when you're like watching TV goes, oh, I want to be a part of this, I get this, I want to be in this world, pro wrestling?
Mm, well, when I was 4 years old and saw Hulk Hogan on TV with a big old gold belt talking about who was going to beat up at the pay per view or whatever, and I saw all the colors, the lights, the fans, looked like they was having fun, looked like he
Mm.
was having fun and making money and traveling. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to travel, make people happy, and have fun.
When did you kind of like get to that point where you kind of understood the work, understood the how this is all put together, and wanting to kind of like be a part of this machine?
Well, I guess like everybody kind of figured it out during like Beyond the Mat when that came
Yeah.
out, and it was some wrestling special they did, The Secrets of Wrestling,
Yeah, yeah,
and I watched that and I was like, okay, now I see how it is. Like
yeah.
in the back of your head, but I was like, I don't care. I'm still want to be a part of it. They still making money and having a good lifestyle, so that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those things, at least for me, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome." Like I was amazed how when I was a little kid, how once I understood what it was, that oh my gosh, this thing, it's the same reactions as a real sport. I was just amazed by that. And I just wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be a part of it. Um, so you planned on going to the asylum. You almost get the opportunity to go on Wrestling Society X, and I vaguely remember this now as you mentioned it to me. This the kind of the memories are coming back of the talks of with Houston Curtis, who was head of Big Vision Entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Kleinrock, of course, and all the MTV execs. And I remember now your name coming up in these meetings and remembering that you did have an injury,
Mm-hmm.
and but it wasn't like a big deal at the time because it's like, okay, he's out right now. He'll be back season two. Well, it never happened.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any like, oh, Willie missed his opportunity. Like we didn't have that mindset yet because it's like, oh, well, he'll be healed up by the time the next season rolls around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. That had to be heartbreaking, but at the same time, you're just getting started. You
Mm-hmm.
got a bright future ahead of you. Going back now to XPW, so WSX was short-lived, didn't quite get the opportunity there. Talk a little bit about working the XPW reunion shows back in. Well, you weren't at Cold Day in
Mm-hmm.
Hell 2008, I don't think, but you were at XPW X, the
I was at
XPW.
Codan Hill. I was just chilling in the crowd.
Oh, wait, say again. You're cutting out.
I was at Codan Hill. I was just chilling in the crowd because we helped put up the ring.
Right. I remember you were there, but you got your chance to perform in an XPW ring at the 10-year reunion show, correct?
Yeah, the pre-show. But I was like, hey, I got my foot in here somehow.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that match? Because I remember the crowd was just hot, hot, hot for that opening contest to get everybody going, and that was in Hollywood, California.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I'm like, yeah, I'm making my XPW debut, and I thought they was gonna run more shows, but it didn't happen. And then I went in there and did my thing, and they reacted good to me, even though I got my jaw dislocated a little bit. because somebody did a corkscrew moonsault on my face, and yeah,
Oh,
it popped
I
my
remember
jaw off.
that. Yes. You remember who that was?
I know, Chewy,
Here-
Chewy,
Sorry. Oh,
Chimera.
Chimera. Yeah, it was Chimera. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember because I was in the back and Christina Vanera hooked me up with some little pills to take away, the inflammation or whatever was happening. I tried to eat a chili cheese dog, and that
Huh.
wasn't going down. It wasn't too good, but I still had fun seeing Damian Steele and everybody come back and seeing them having a title tournament that was supposed to happen, but they never followed up.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that was right when, after the crash of '08. So there was a limited budget for Big Vision as
Mm,
opposed to the year before in early 2008. The Cold Day in Hell was just a massive production, well produced show.
yep.
Um, but man, so okay, yeah, that was great to see you finally get that opportunity in XPW. Because listen, dude, there were a lot of fans of XPW that now know your work from SoCal, but there were a lot of fans from those local shows that just remember you waiting all night and doing the thing, and they were just so happy to see you getting your break because they saw your drive and your dedication, and you're willing to do, go the extra mile to follow your dream.
Yeah, like I had the homie Zombie. You probably recognize him, Richard. He's a big old, tall, 6 foot something Hispanic dude.
Okay.
And my other homie Jimmy, we would all go to the XPW shows at the Grand Olympic, and we had our own little backyard thingy, and we was trying to get into, you know, do the thing, become wrestlers, and I'm the only one that like got the path going and end up doing it.
It's one of those things, man, where when I would see you out there, it's like, oh, I already know it's gonna happen for this guy. Like he's not because you're not gonna give up, man.
I was
Where
like, I did it this long. Why would I stop? It's like if that door closes, another one opens, and you just gotta keep going till the wheels fall off. And I did
where does that
something.
where does that come from, Willie? Like within yourself, do you think where that just no quit drive concept?
I don't know. I guess me personally, I don't like to have things undone, thinking about what could have been. I just keep going and see, like, all right, I accomplished this because I want something left behind of me. Like, if I have kids or anything, and some people be like, hey, your daddy did this, and
Mm,
look what I accomplished. I made people happy and stuff like that. I want people to have good memories of me, not nothing bad.
mm.
Even though I'm going to be dead, so it don't matter, but it's like, at least something will be left behind, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's awesome words, Willie. Thank you so much. What was it like for you going from an XPW fan to going to an XPW wrestler?
It was a dream come true because it was like something I never thought would happen
Mm,
because everything that went down and oh, I ain't got no more wrestling to watch on TV no more, and I just was stuck watching WWE and WCW, but then WCW got bought out, and now I'm in the locker room with these folks, and they're like, "Hey, I remember you from being in the crowd. I remember you being out there with a T-shirt and having to
mm.
sign it, which I still got my storage with it." And it's just great
Wow.
being able to be around all that history that I grew up watching and told
Right.
myself I was going to be on there, and I ended up doing it.
Yeah, man. It's amazing. Like I said, I just something in the back of my head, it was like, oh, well, this is a foregone conclusion. Of course he's gonna eventually be there, just by your will and your drive and your again, just the willing to wait all through the night, willing to just be the last one to leave, all that. It's like, of course this guy's gonna make it eventually, foregone conclusion in my mind. And having a good attitude because honestly, guys, if anybody dislikes this guy or has a problem with him, the problem is with the other person, not Willie. So just that food, just my opinion. Um, okay, Willie Mack. So now all that is happening. You like I said in the beginning, I actually interviewed you when I had a show called the Kris Kloss Show back. I guess this was like maybe eight, 7, 8 years ago, and I interviewed you because you had just got signed by WWE NXT for some unforeseen circumstances. Wasn't in the cards at the time, but then of course, boom, opportunities did open up in the form of TNA Impact. You've gone all over the world, right, Willie? Like you've traveled to different continents, um,
Mm-hmm.
all over, man. And you have a look, you have an originality about yourself. Um, but so all these things happened in between the stuff we're talking about. You taking the bus down to the LA Sports Arena. Now, fast forward all the way, even past the Cold Day in Hell and the XPW X, XPW 10. Now, fast forward. Oh my gosh, what is this? Rob Black is bringing XPW back, and it was a surprise to everybody. I mean, this show, Xtreme Memories, which has been going now for 2 years. When we first started this show, there was no talks at all about XPW coming back. This show was originally just talking about the old days of XPW, you know. So then maybe like 3/4 of the way through, it's like, oh, XPW's back. Well, we can't totally avoid that, you know. We got to talk about it. It's there, and happy to do that. But then you got the call. How did that come about? Because XPW's first show back was November of 2021. It was out in New York, Rochester, New York, the
Yep.
home of Rob Black. Um, how did that all happen? And then you end up fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship in that tournament.
Well, Rob Black hit me up like years ago, like a year or two before, and was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting back into the pro wrestling business and
Okay.
bringing back XPW. Would you be down to be a part of it?" I'm like, "Hell yeah! What the fuck you talking about?" And sure enough, he hooked up with it. Then COVID happened, and then he pushed it off and finally hit me back and said, "Hey, we're gonna put you in the title tournament if you're ready for it." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready for it." I went down there, had three damn good matches, I guess. First one against M Dog, and then the
Yeah.
second one against Masada, and then finally the finals with Cage.
Yeah.
And I can say, even though it was for like a minute or two, I was the XPW World Champion.
Yeah. That's right, man. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, technically, that's true. You were awarded the title, and then, they had the schmaz, the little angle there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's looming on the horizon for you now? Any talks right now with you and Rob, or now there's a little bit of a transition because when you were with Impact, there were like you had to jump through hoops sometimes to be able to do a show like XPW, right? It has to go through the
Mm-hmm.
offices, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and they approved you were okay to do XPW. Um, was it because when I was calling your match, Willie, I personally I understand the angle talking about what we talked about here on this show, which was selling the whole, hey man, when this guy was a little kid, he came to the shows. Even though we're selling that angle and that story, I'm really feeling that story. I don't know if you are too, but when you're in the ring and you're pointing down at the logo and you're like, oh, I'm here. I'm like, even though we're selling it, it's it's still real to me, damn it.
Yeah.
And it is. It's like I was feeling that for you for real.
Yeah, that's the thing. People didn't know. I walked out there like, I'm there early as hell because you got to get to the venue early and checked out the arena. I'm like, okay, it's pretty cool. But like once it was match time, I like walked out and realized, damn, this is really happening. I saw those letters on the canvas, which
Hmm.
surprised me because they never really had letters on the canvas of the XPW, and I was like, damn, this is it. I finally did it. I did something I said I was gonna do as a kid, and now I'm a grown
Yeah.
ass man, and I kept my word, I guess.
Yeah, and it was good to have you there, dude. It was I thought it was a great night. I thought you You were pitted in that tournament really well, and you did show a little bit, even though it wasn't a death match. You showed that you can hang. You got the skewers in the head, all that,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, that was an experience in itself. Having to pick them shits out and wrestle Brian
Ooh.
Cage right after.
Was that have you done many death matches, Willie?
Now I did hardcore matches and like actually I think I did one death match with Mira Muertes and Lucha Underground. We had two death match type matches and then I had one. It was a fans bring the weapons match. It was me versus Supreme, and that was the first time I
Oh,
got busted open. So I got to wrestle Supreme.
that's right. I forgot all about that, man. What year was that? Would you say?
It had to be around like 2012. No, 13.
Okay.
13. It had to be
Okay.
around 13 because I still had the blonde hair.
Yes, that's right, man. You had that. That was short lived, right? You with the blonde hair.
Yeah, I just let it grow out, and I had like blonde tips, and then I let the black fully came in.
I mean, I don't remember. I don't think because there was a little bit of a lull where I hadn't seen you for a while, and I don't think I saw you personally when you had the blonde tips. But I think I remember seeing pictures online. Um,
Hmm.
Interesting, man. Very cool. How was it? How was it? What did it mean to you to be able to wrestle? I know it wasn't under the XPW umbrella, but what did it mean to wrestle Supreme?
It was great because he was one of my favorite deathmatch dudes, and I saw him go through his stuff in XPW, having all those good matches. And I'm like, damn, I'm wrestling the XPW SoCal legend. I wrestled him, Johnny Webb, Chaos, again, who else? A few other XPW people, and I'm like, I wrestled some of the main people, so that's all that makes me happy.
Right.
And
And
I'm
like
probably
you
one of the only dudes that can say they wrestled a former XPW deathmatch champion.
Yes, no, I mean, and the original, I mean, arguably the true and only, he is XPW Deathmatch. He's almost the poster child for the company. If you were to put one face to represent the whole company, you could easily put Supreme's face on there. If you had to pick one face.
Yeah, like when I was going to the shows, I'm like, oh, he should be the world champion eventually at some point because he was the king of the deathmatch so many times, and then the next step has to be the world title.
Yeah, that's so true. At least maybe even have a double champion,
Yeah.
because yeah, he deserved. I mean, down the road, had it kept its doors open longer, he
Hmm.
deserved it. Um, are you even if there's how was traveling, Willie, when you were to go to places like Japan, Europe, Mexico, Australia? What were the places? Not to get off XPW too much, but what were the places that um, you thought that you performed the best, translated the best toward the fans, and got over?
Pretty much anywhere outside of America because they barely get to see us, especially like somebody like me. So once I went to Australia, they were like, "Ooh, look at that guy!" Or and they see me do my thing, they're like, "Oh, he's amazing." Japan was great because they treated me with the utmost respect, and
Right.
Mexico is like my second home. So
Mm.
that's all I can say about that, really.
Did you wrestle much in Tijuana?
Yeah, yeah, I was
Yeah,
a champion out there for the
that's
crash.
okay. That was in TJ. Okay.
Yep,
Wow.
yep. Was the second
Oh
ever
man.
champion, right behind Rey Mysterio.
Wow, man, and man, and speaking of Rey Mysterio, I mean Rey Mysterio Senior was one of the guys you saw when you came as
Hmm.
a kid to the sports arena.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of crossover history there, lucha wise, and the crowds were pretty big too. And we got to give a lot of credit to the luchadors for that in
Yep.
LA. You know,
Yep.
well, Willie, man, dude, it's just great to hear your stories about what you've done, how you've succeeded, and how far you came in a relatively short amount of time. Because again, man, you were a baby one going to the WrestleMania 7, and only 9 years later, you were a kid
Hmm.
going to XPW and then WSX, and then boom, then you start, and man, you in some ways, maybe it was because look, never say never. If WWE is still the destination, I mean, just because they don't pick you now doesn't mean they won't pick you later. And maybe the fact that they didn't choose you at the time, you maybe wouldn't have had all these other experiences going around the world and truly being an independent.
Mm-hmm.
I personally look, in my opinion. I mean, what do I know? But it's my opinion. And you, I think, maybe I like to use the phrase: our greatest gifts are often cleverly disguised as our worst nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, it seemed like a nightmare in the moment. What? I almost got it, but it really was a gift because now it's like you got that opportunity, and also it's also good for us to take rejection and then process and go through that versus just get everything handed to you. So it's a good thing. I like to say change the word from 2 to 4, meaning why does this have to happen to me? No, why does this have to happen for me? Like, instead of being the victim, why are you doing this to me? No, you're doing it for me. These things strengthen us, when we
Mm-hmm.
when we face trials and tribulations. But again, man, I look at you and I was, seeing what you were doing, and I'm like, this is awesome, dude. He's going all over Australia, every continent, and doing your own thing. You're not under the watchful eye of, hey, this is how you have to perform, and this is what you have to say, and this is it. Maybe if you would have gone right away to WWE, you wouldn't have had this independent, direct experience of just doing your own thing all around the world.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah, and I think you're more polished because of these experiences.
hell yeah, you always gotta. That's the one thing some of them don't get when they go straight there. It's like you gotta test each and every market and learn yourself, grow as a wrestler instead of being a sports entertainer.
Yeah, and a wrestler can transition into a sports entertainer. A sports entertainer can't necessarily transfer into being a pro wrestler. So when you have this experience as a pro wrestler, you are now ready to do either or. Okay, if they want you to do sports entertainment, I'll do it, but I can do both of them if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And a sports entertainer that just had it handed to him, there's no way he could survive in the indies or in outlaw feds around the world. It's just he's not going to be prepared for it. So you have the best of both worlds, and you got to do your own thing.
Yeah, I
I
did it all by being me.
Yeah, man. Look, XPW and Wrestling Society X, for example, they're great and all that cool experience. But one of the aspects I really enjoyed about it was that we were competing with the big brother company.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing something different, and you get lost in just being on the show and all that, but really I was like, no, this part is exciting too, that we're
Mm-hmm.
kind of doing our own thing and trying to be competitive with the big dog. And so no, man, I see that with you, like, the since you weren't in the big company, it almost made your character more inspiring to want to root for, because you're like the engine that could, let's do this. And I think that really came over and came across at Rebirth. People were behind you, man, and people writing in was like, gosh, so good to see Willie, man, he deserves his title. And you have that kind of aura about you to give people that good feeling about a Cinderella story to root for you.
Well, hey, I guess I didn't mean it to be that way, but if people like me, cool. It's better than a lot like me. Which there's
and
a
and
lot
that
of people out there like that.
Yeah, and that's why I asked you before, where does that come from? Because it's totally natural with you, and then you enhance the personality you already have, and you do it very well. And man, I hope Willie, I'm sure I don't see any reason why not. I hope and I look forward to seeing you at XPW, one of these shows coming up. Um, and if I have anything to say about it, you're on there, you're booked. So, but I'm not Rob Black, but everybody knows that most likely we'll see you somewhere down the road with XPW. But let me ask you, Willie, before I get to my last question, thank you, bro, for being on here. It's always good seeing you.
Thanks for having me on here.
Absolutely. Always good hanging with you. Always good seeing you. I saw you in Vegas not too long ago.
Yep.
So, okay, let me ask you this, and then we'll get to the shout outs and whatever you want to plug. But can you tell me, Willie, because I want to hear it from you, because you went from every across the spectrum in XPW, all the way from being a fan to being a professional and a performer. What in your mind and your heart is and will be, what is the legacy of XPW?
Well, like I said, California Wrestling at one time it was the number 3 company in the world, and then they became the number 2 once WCW went out, and just seeing all the folks just come through, all the stories, the matches, and it was doing stuff in the U.S. that nobody ever seen. So it makes a lasting impression on anybody who liked it or didn't like it. You couldn't help but watch it and know that this was something special and something different.
Wow. Well, dude, I couldn't have said that better myself, man. And yeah, I that's a great way to end on a good note, man, because I couldn't. Yeah, you're right. It's just whether you like it or you don't, it's something special is going on here. And well put, man. Well, thank you, Willie. And any shout outs and please any plugs so people can find you.
Nothing much. Just thank for everybody who supported me throughout these years, and hopefully things get better and you'll see me in your town or city or country. Just hit me up, and I got my email, bookwilliemack@gmail.com. If promoters is out there watching, go over to my pro wrestling tee stores, Willie Mack. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same handle at Willie_Mack. I'm on Twitch too as well, Willie Mack 87, and all the other good stuff. And keep a lookout. I'm gonna be in Mexico a lot more and around on the East Coast, West Coast, North and South. And yeah, just if you're in town, don't be scared. Just holler at me and I'll talk back. I ain't no dog or nothing. I ain't gonna bite you.
That's true. And if you look him up, he'll answer that, and you can hang out. And man, all the best, Willie. And I'm looking forward. Hopefully, I'll be out in Vegas. And every time I am, I'm gonna hit you up, dude.
Thanks, and hopefully I'll be at that next XPW event where there's
and hopefully
world
you'll
title.
be out, and hopefully you'll be at the next XPW show, man. Well, thank you, fans, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this, because we've had a few requests for getting you on, Willie. So there you go, fans, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. For Willie Mack, my name is Kris Kloss, and this is Xtreme Memories, exclusively on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. Guys, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Xtreme Memories, hosted by Kris Kloss. He's dropping new episodes every month on the 15th and 30th. You can be the first to tune in by subscribing to the Wrestling Chatter channel right here on YouTube. See you next time.